I'm watching you, you flippin' downsiders.
Hey! You're a nerd!
Hey Al, today I will be reviewing The Downsiders by Neal Shusterman. And my brother's gonna be editing it, so this is gonna be interesting. Watch him put like text that says dork over my face or something. Say hello to brother. So this book takes place in New York City, and basically it follows the idea that there are people who live underground in like abandoned subway tunnels and things, and they're called the Downsiders. And as everyone knows, underneath New York City there are rats. I just wanted an excuse to put her in the video. Look at how cute she's being today. Oh. And then there's a girl named Lindsay who's moving to New York City to live with her dad, and she gets kind of caught up in this world, and the worlds collide, and there's lots of interesting stuff going on. It's a really cool idea, actually. Weird, but cool. I'd say this book was good overall, but it is my least favorite Neal Shusterman book I've read so far. And to be fair, it's the oldest one by him I've read. It was written in 1999 compared to like Unwind and Everlost and even Full Tilt, which I've read, and they were written later on. Unwind and Everlost, of course, my loves in their full series, but Full Tilt was another standalone novel, and I liked that one better. But that doesn't matter. I did like this. It was just, there were obviously some things that he gets a better handle on later on in his writing career. Since I have read his more recent books that are really phenomenal, it kind of made me expect more of this book, which isn't fair because this is one of his older ones. But I think that did skew my perception of it a bit. But that's just another reason Neal Shusterman is so awesome, really, that his writing style was able to grow so much over these years, and he's been published all along, but he's still getting better. He doesn't just stop. That is a good thing for an author to do. What are you trying to do? You cannot escape. You wanna go home? There are some lines in this book that definitely sound like an adult trying to be a teenager, and Shusterman definitely gets a better handle on teenage characters later on in his writing career. But let's stop comparing it to the other books and just look at it as a standalone. As just a regular YA fiction, it was actually very good. I enjoyed it. A lot of young adult fiction kind of has those little moments where like, no teenager would say that, but you can bypass those and still enjoy the book, and I did. The concept of this book, like its ideas, were really creative and really awesome. It's something that you don't see written about too much. Like, there's a lot of teen books that are about somebody falling in love or just like a dystopian future, and this is one that is really rare. This is a new idea. New ideas in YA fiction. The way he described the downside, just the world of it, seemed really cool. Like the ideas of the subway token paved place and all the writing on the walls, and they just use everything that falls down. My germophobia was kind of going the entire time. They're basically just picking things up off the ground and then like using them. Germs are gross, aren't they? Man, I'm sure glad I don't ever touch anything that's yucky. There were definitely some really good lines in this book. Like, there were some that stopped me and I was like, wow, but then there were also some that stopped me and I was like, oh, you know, it's not a perfect book, but it definitely had its moments. When he was describing scenery usually, or making grand sweeping statements about the world, it was definitely very good. It was very Shusterman. But then just the way the story developed or the characters or things seemed like it needed more work. Our two main characters, Lindsay and Talon, they were very likable. They had traits that I think everybody can identify with. The whole fear of change, but also wonder at new things. They weren't quite as three-dimensional as they could have been, but they did both grow very much through the story. Okay, so I guess now I'll be moving into the spoilers section. If you don't want spoilers for this book, don't keep watching. Switch over to something else. Click away. Why did Lindsay and Talon have a relationship? That made no sense. That was just such an unnecessary addition to it. It's like, all young adult fiction, they think, oh, two main characters, a boy and a girl, they have to fall in love, you know, they just have to be in love. And that's a trap that a lot of books fall into, and it's upsetting that this one fell into it too. Mangy street kid who came into Lindsay's room, and at first she was afraid of him, but then she kind of got over that, and I don't know why she got over that, because she was just a random mangy street kid who came into her room. That's hot. I guess he did leave their relationship kind of open, like they never clearly got together. It was more of like a fling, which does happen to teenagers a lot. I went to high school, I remember. Not me, of course, like other people. Every teenager remembers having to wait for a couple to stop making out so you can get past the doorway into your classroom. At the end, I was very happy with where all the characters ended up. They all kind of went on to good things and they were wrapped up really well, but I didn't get that sense of like wonderment, you know, but that's okay. It's just like, it's a good book. It's not like one of those amazing books that I threw my whole heart into. I enjoyed it. It was a good use of time, but it wasn't like that ending where you feel your heart swelling up, you know? It was just kind of a really good wrap-up ending. Very tight. Nice job. I also like how Shusterman kind of gave us details on all the inner workings of the downside, like he made it seem possible. That was pretty cool. No, wait, there's one character I'm not happy with where they ended up, and that's Todd. They just, like, sent him away to a boarding school where he gets abused. Like, no, that's not a good treatment of a character. They treated him like a Disney villain, when really he was more of just a troubled kid. And it would be interesting to see if he was a character in Unwind instead of in The Downsiders, how differently he would have been treated at the end there. I think I just liked him because at the beginning it said he was the son of a dancer, and immediately my brain pictured him as Inigo from Fire Emblem. I need help. I need help with this addiction out. My poor pointy-haired son. Just a shaving? I mean, I guess you can eat that if you want. It's natural. Also, their family is basically doomed now because they have no source of income. Like she said, we had to move to a smaller house. Yeah, but somebody's gonna have to pay off that smaller house. And if you are basically ridiculed by all of New York City, that's not gonna evolve well going forward into the future. But I mean, I guess they're happy for now, and that's good. I did like what happened with the Downsiders, where they all moved into kind of water towers and they signaled to each other. That's a cool extension of the downside, and now they're in the sky, and that was a really nice thing to do for them, I think. Could you do that? I have no knowledge of the inner workings of New York City, but I trust that the author did his research. I was in New York City once for a connecting flight. That's not interesting information, but I thought you might want to know. Oh, also Pidge's illness, it just kind of vanished. That was weird. Lindsay's like, here, have some off-color medicine that might vaguely have something to do with the illness that you kind of described. And Pidge is like, it's a miracle, thank the Lord. That's not how medicine works in real life, children. If you have a terminal illness, you cannot be cured by a week of somebody's off-color pills. So yeah, obviously there were some kind of plot holes or just little nitpicky things, but I'm just being really nitpicky right now, just because it's Neal Shusterman. It was a good book, and I do think that people would enjoy it if they read it. I liked it. I finished it. Was good. You can read it if you want. If you like The Downsiders, you should also read Enclave by, I forget the author's name, but it's also young adult fiction. It's got a great cover, and it's basically the same idea, just kind of a colony of people living underground, but in Enclave they didn't even know about the above world, and it was really interesting, so I don't really remember much about it other than I liked it, so you can check that out. See you later, Al. And my brother's gonna be editing it, so this is gonna be interesting. Watch him put like text that says "door" over my face or something.